Welcome to Tansson TV Plus. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Mom.
Thank you so much for joining us here today this holiday season.
Yep, thank you for joining us again. We are so happy to be speaking with you today about another show in our Vlogmas series.
Yes, and Mom, what show do we have the honor of speaking about today?
Today we're going to talk about Girl Meets World, and we're going to talk about season 1, episode 16, with the title of it being Girl Meets Home for the Holidays.
Yes, this episode released December the 5th of 2014.
All right, and I will give just a little bit of synopsis of this holiday show. Corey and Topanga are now hosting Christmas dinner. They have invited some special people to this Christmas dinner. They have invited the Matthews family, so that's Corey's family, along with Sean. Sean, if you guys watched the original Boy Meets World, was Corey's best friend. And apparently on screen, they have not seen each other in a little while. And so since it's been some time, they are so excited to see each other. And then in the midst of all of this, we find out later that Sean has a hard time connecting with Riley and Maya. This is Corey's daughter and her best friend. And Brandon, this is the synopsis of this particular episode.
Well, Mom, thank you so much for that.
You're welcome, Brandon.
And overall, what did you think about Girl Meets Home for the holidays?
I really liked it. One thing I will say about Girl Meets World is that Girl Meets World is a little deeper than Boy Meets World, in my opinion. If you've seen both shows, you would understand. And the Girl Meets World is just basically the female version of Boy Meets World. But but I think the show itself is wonderful. For this particular episode that we're talking about, since we're concentrating on the winter slash Christmas slash holiday show, it is they do a good job of incorporating the holidays, and then within incorporating the holiday, it was nice to see the family, and what better reason to bring the family around is for the holidays. And so Girl Meets World had been on for a little bit and had not introduced reintroduced the audience to the family, and so this is a nice way for them to kind of bring everyone together.
Yes, it definitely is, quite a great way. I would say the show did a pretty good job, I think, with being able to start off its show without having too many overt connections, but diving into the episode itself. So, Mom, overall, how did this episode align with our holiday theme? And I should mention, of course, as you were saying, that it is a spinoff of Boy Meets World, so there are a lot of discussions about both shows.
Yes, and let's talk a little bit about our Christmas connections, like you have mentioned. Of course, there's a family gathering there. We have it's basically, you know, food versus dinner. There's of course a tree that's present in the background in the show, and then it's a comparison of gifts that's talked about, and so all these things are there. But in essence, this episode really is about Sean and Corey, and then paralleling them to Maya and Riley.
Absolutely. And would you say that parallel does a good job?
They do, and you can see the parallel before even overtly discussing of Sean and Corey. The parallel is already there. I think what's nice is that for those people who have watched both shows, to see Corey's reaction to seeing Sean, I think that in itself is really amazing. And then watching Topanga as she acknowledges and says, "It's always been like this," and she says always. And so, that was fun to watch and have her to acknowledge that she knows that there's a special bond between Corey and Sean that'll always be there.
Yes, my whole life.
Her whole life. Yes, yes. And the family's so used to it too that they just open their arms up to Sean.
Yes, definitely. And I will say that, I mean, you can definitely tell me your thoughts, but what were your thoughts about how they were able to integrate the legacy characters into the new show?
Well, like I said, they took this on a much deeper level. They could have been very superficial and just kind of paralleled them, but they put this on a much deeper level because we have the fact that Sean has not necessarily bonded with Riley. He acknowledges that he's her godfather, but they have not really bonded together per se. And the same with, and so Maya picks up on it immediately. And then I think what was really interesting is that at the end that they took the parallel even further and said that Maya and Sean were basically the same person. They had different, they had various, I mean, not various, but they had similar upbringings. And so they did a good job of kind of comparing the both of them. Although they didn't, they compared them, but then they left them alone in order to try to figure it out. And I don't think they gave the audience access to what they were per se saying during that time period, but they just kind of opened it up to that discussion.
Yes, and for anyone that's seen the show, you'll know that this plot that started in this episode continues throughout the whole rest of the series.
It does. And I didn't, watching it this time, I saw how they were beginning it. I never would have guessed how they would have ended it later, but the slow progression is there.
Yes, definitely. I will say that I think the show has a really good job with like planning out the series and how they wanted it to almost like one on one exactly parallel Boy Meets World, but then also be its own series at the same time, which is not an easy feat.
No, it's not. It's not. And they did have a message in here. Now, I did have to kind of make, I don't want to say make it up, but they weren't as overt in saying it in this show as they've done in some of the other shows. And so I kind of related it back to the circle of life. And then I said, life can repeat itself with the example of, the pairing of Corey and Sean and then Riley and Maya.
Yeah, I definitely think that that's a great message, and you could even see that even though Minkus himself was not shown in this episode, when they had his son Farkle in there, and even Sean's sort of reaction to that, which I think was pretty fun. It's like, wow, everyone's here.
Yes, yes. And they eventually bring back everyone else for the show, but it was nice to see how they slowly incorporated the Matthews family and Sean back into the show itself. And then they also brought in, and I don't want to neglect to leave him out, they brought in Corey's brother, who I would have thought they would have left off because typically when you see series like this and they have the extra child, they kind of ignore it when the whole show is brought back together again. And I thought they did a nice job because I think he was probably close to the age he should have been. And so I like that they brought him back.
Yes, I definitely like that as well. I'm glad that they were able to sort of make a role for Josh, and I will say that since we brought so many people back, are we able to acknowledge people that did not come back in this episode?
Yeah, Morgan wasn't there. Morgan does show up at a later time period, and neither was Eric, and that's Corey's brother.
Yes, and so I definitely thought it was interesting leaving Eric out, but in the same regard, I think that bringing at least the rest of this core, was all good for one episode. But I feel like Eric almost needs his own episode, which he did.
Yes, Eric has his own personality, a big personality for the show. And so I think that if they just wanted to concentrate on Corey and Sean, this was the best way to do it, to just have both of them there. And then, like you said, they did bring in Eric at a later time period.
But yes, but overall, like as a holiday episode, do you believe this episode can stand alone? Because I know they're doing a lot of setting up. There was a lot of stuff happening in this episode.
There was a lot of things happening in this episode, and yes, I think it can stand alone as a holiday episode. And so, even if you have not seen the show before, just by watching the excitement on Corey's face, you would be able to pick up on a lot of things. You might be a little. Might wonder a little bit more so about his relationship with Riley, just because of the awkwardness that they seem to have. But they explain it really well in the episode.
Yes, they do. And Mom, did you want us to go over our connections?
Yeah, let me give it a rating first. So I did rate this from 1 to 5, 5 being the highest. I gave this one a 3. For me, even though I really liked it, it still for me was down the middle because it was. I think I have no problem with the deepness, but it was much deeper than I thought it was, especially for a holiday show. But it was very well. I thought it was done really well.
Yes. And while I do believe the holiday shows, for the most part, actually do have some sort of deep meaning, I'm going to agree with the three. Largely just because there's so much happening in this episode that if you're just looking for something more passive to watch, I think this is a more active watch. Not a bad thing, but just requires a little bit more concentration than your average holiday episode.
Yeah, I agree totally. And Brandon, I'm ready. Let's talk about our connections.
All right, so we have some obvious ones and some less obvious ones. Mom, did you want to hit the obvious ones?
I'll just hit the obvious one real quick, and that's Boy Meets World. This is the sequel, I guess, to Boy Meets World. I'll let you get the true terminology for it, but yes, so Boy Meets World is the prequel or the beginning of it. Good.
Yes, yes. To me, sequel fits. I believe the official one that they use is spinoff, but I think it could work either which way, in my opinion. As a, as a TV scholar, what do I know? But I will say that, of course, that's the obvious connection, and the series is once again produced by Michael Jacobs Productions, who produced Boy Meets World. Um, let's see, what else do we have? Together We Stand and My Two Dads. And we have some less obvious connections too.
Oh, what are those? Go ahead, Brandon.
Yes, so our less obvious connection is actually with, uh, yes, so our less obvious connection is actually with the writer of this episode that wrote the screenplay.
All right, who is that?
So you're not going to recognize the name, but his name is David Kendall.
Okay,
But what's interesting is how he's actually connected to this episode.
okay.
So he's the writer of this episode, but he was the director on A Very Topanga Christmas, The Boy Meets World.
Oh, well, that is interesting. Interesting, and we just talked about that an episode ago.
Yes, and so it's definitely interesting. I never would have expected that I had to do a double look. It's like, wait a minute, the director of that episode is now a writer of this episode, but sure enough, and this is the only episode, to the best of my knowledge, he wrote of Girl Meets World.
Oh wow, wow, that's a great connection.
Yeah, so I definitely thought it was quite fun, and I had to share that. And yeah, I think that this show is pretty good when it comes to connections.
It is. It is. Was there anything else you'd like to discuss about the show?
Well, Mom, overall in general, just because this is our first time discussing Girl Meets World, are you able to give sort of a brief synopsis about the series?
This series follows. Actually, it follows Sean. I'm going back to my notes. Sorry. This follows Sean and Corey. I'm sorry. Freddie's throwing me off. All right. This particular show, it follows Corey and Topanga. They have married, as we saw in the in Boy Meets World. You saw them as they were together. They did get married toward the end of Boy Meets World, and so this is them. Fast forward many years later, they are now married. They have two children. They have Riley, who's a teenagery, and then they have August, their son. And so they are in New York, and Corey is a teacher, just like Mr. Feeney, and Topanga is a lawyer. So they're very successful in what they do. And we have Corey, who is actually just like Mr. Feeney in the regards of he has a lot of words of wisdom to pass on to the next generation. And then it follows their daughter Riley and her best friend Maya as they're paralleling Sean and Corey. So I hope you guys were able to get all of that. But it's very nice. It was a very nice show.
Yes, and it ran for 72 episodes over the course of 2014 to 17.
Yes. All right, Brandon. Was there anything else you want to talk about?
No, I'm just glad that we were able to discuss this episode and parallel it truly to the episode that we just watched of Boy Meets World.
Yep, I am so happy too. And so, guys, let us know what's more. We're going through the month of December trying to find movies slash TV shows, anything that's kind of Christmassy or wintry. Please let us know if there's anything you want us to kind of take a look at.
Yes, we'd definitely love to hear your feedbacks and comments as you joined us on this adventure.
Yes. And let's say we thank everybody for watching.
And we'll see you next time.
All right, bye bye, everybody.